and Robert co-founded Ammar Music Publishing, and they've been involved in publishing and sync licensing and artist development all over. In fact, they represent currently Bill Capac, who's a regular contributor to our lyric contest and as well as the song contest. I think Bill is from your part of the world. Is that right, Ann?
Yes, he's about 50 minutes drive towards Atlantic City, towards the ocean. And we met actually through the Nashville Songwriters Association. I had not heard of your organization until I met Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And he reached out to me from the profile, and we started writing songs together. He's a lyricist, and I was just getting started in songwriting after a long, many years away from that. I had a different career. I had a international business career. I had always wanted to be involved in the music business, but I ended up in a totally different field of business. And after I retired from that, I just started playing the piano again and working on the songs that I used to do when I was much younger. And I joined the Nashville Songwriters Association, and then Bill was a member there, and he reached out because we had some profiles. I guess he saw my profile and he heard some of the songs that I wrote, and he said, do you want to write together? So that's how that started. Mm-hmm. And really that was about 5 years ago. And we did a lot of songs together, and we entered in song competitions. He did show me that he had done very well in your organization, and he had won, I guess, one of your lyric contests. And I don't remember which year that is, and I can't remember which song it was, but he told me about your organization at that time. And then a few years back, I had met many other people in songwriting, began to write with different co-writers. And I went to Nashville in 2019 with a co-writer from Sydney, Australia. And that's when I met Robert, who he's also known as Fletcher Moody. That's his artist name, because he's our executive as Robert Zimmerman, CEO, but he's Fletcher Moody when he's on stage. So we met in Nashville in 2019 at the Songwriters Association. No, it was a Tin Pan South songwriting workshop of several days that was organized by the NSAI. And after that, Robert Fletcher called me. We began writing some country songs together, and we really hit it off. And summer of 2019, we established this company, and it was initially for sync placements, but it has really grown since then. And I'm going to let Robert say a few words at this point. Go on in.
I don't know, but I think you pretty much summed it up there.
No, I only got it started.
Yeah, so Ann and I, we did actually hit it off very well at the 2019 NSAI conference, and you know, that Tin Pan South. If you ever get a chance, or if you want to, getting out to Nashville, they kind of open it up again. I would certainly recommend it to anybody that wanted to go. You get a lot of chance to meet some really good folks, and it's just exciting. It's a lot of good information that happens there. So, but yeah, we met in 2019, and I had done some stuff in the sync business already from previous works and stuff that I had done. And so Ann and I were writing songs, and she had a lot of great songs and just stuff that I thought had value. And so I said, why don't we just start a business? And at the time it was kind of, we just thought about doing just sync stuff. And then all of a sudden some doors opened up in Nashville to start pitching to artists, and lo and behold, now the doors are, kind of wide open. We're going to have, well, we've already got 3 cuts this year that are scheduled to get recorded, and we got a whole schedule of pitching to do this year. So it's, we've spent a lot of time growing the library, building the songs, and like any business, or that's the way that we approach it. Even though we love to songwrite, at the point of when it comes time to, whether I want my stuff to sit in a folder or whether I want it to, go someplace, I got to get it out there. And so that was kind of our idea. We didn't want it to just sit in a folder, and we decided to, start a business and put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So how does that work then? You work with a songwriter based on the type of songs they have that you think you can work with, or do you have agreements to work with certain songwriters? And how does all that work when you work with a songwriter?
Well,
How do you do that?
it works. Yeah, it works in different ways with different songwriters. Some folks want to write for sync, right? And because they don't feel like they want to pitch. Whether they're a kind of a melody person, and they've got some stuff that they think they want to try to sync. And so we have some opportunities for that. And if we like the song and thinks it's syncable, then we'll offer them a contract per song. It's basically a single song publishing contract, and they keep their songwriters' royalties. We take the publishing, and then we use our network to pitch it to the different music supervisors. We also have an agency that can pitch music that has direct contacts with other music supervisors. So we try to do as many things as we can just to disseminate the work. But again, that it does have to qualify as what we would say is basically ready for radio, right?
So you might explain what by sync, what for everybody, so everybody knows what you mean by that.
Any kind of music on television and film, computer games, you name it, anything that has a visual medium, a video medium, and they want to put music to it, they buy the rights for it, unless they're buying non-royalty brand.
Mm-hmm.
So like the classic, one of the ones that we pitch a lot to, like the Yellowstone group, we pitch a lot to them. Just because they like a lot of Texas music, and we've got a few folks that write in some Texas music brands. But we pitch to a lot of different outlets if the opportunities come up. I had a call, it was last November, just before the holidays. They were looking for a specific guitar riff kind of style, and we had one in the catalog, and we sent it over. And so it was an independent film. They're going to shoot this spring, and we're still deciding whether they're going to, whether it makes the cut on the cue sheet. So it's just, again, as you all probably know, this road of songwriting and looking for cuts or looking for syncing music it's always a long road, right? Nothing happens overnight. And so it's usually you have the product, you get it out there, and then you wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
So do you work with Broadjam, or do you? We're very familiar with Broadjam because several of our members, have Broadjam accounts, and we submit songs through Broadjam, and then Broadjam puts it out. They have certain people that are looking for certain types of songs. Would you be one of the people that ask Broadjam to help provide songs for them, or how does Broadjam fit your picture, or they're not
I would consider, they're not my competition. They're another outlet for songs. So we have a library of songs, and we have a network of people that we shop to. So Broadjam has a network of people that they shop to. So it doesn't really help my songwriters much if I'm shopping it through an outlet that they're already able to shop it through, right? It doesn't really, that's kind of going through several different things. So mine is more of the direct approach. I have relationships with music supervisors and things like that would be a direct outlet. So it kind of avoids some of those agency fees and things like that.
Well, at Broadjam, they put out announcements of a music publisher is looking for a certain type of song, or some music supervisors are looking for a certain type of song.
Like a brief.
Brief. It's a brief. And they'll get briefs, and there's several different outlets that do that same thing. And and so I've seen those outlets out there. I've just always been kind of more the independent, where I just kind of like to do it myself, and I don't like to go through those extra channels when I feel like I can make those networks myself. I did just before, well, it was 2019, into 2019, I took a trip to LA, did a sync summit in LA, met a lot of folks there, a lot of agents and folks that you know, when I put the music out, they're going to give it a listen. Some of them put it into their library, their content. And of course, there's millions of songs out there. So it's a matter of staying in front of these folks, letting them know you got the material and that they've got it in their library, and maybe they'll find a placement for it if they like it.
Mhm.
So what's
Well-
the solicitation process? How would a songwriter engage you guys to see if you're interested in working with them and if they have any material that you would potentially think has possibilities?
It's pretty much the standard engagement process. I highly recommend, no matter who you're working with, is always email them and ask permission to send a couple of songs. Always ask permission first. That way, because most of the time, most publishers, if somebody invades my inbox with a stack of songs that I didn't ask for, I don't even have time to look at it. And quite honestly, it just frustrates me.
Mm.
It's a business relationship. You wouldn't, you know, if you're a plumber, you wouldn't show up at somebody's door and unload a bunch of pipes on their lawn and say, "Hey, I'm ready to go." You know, so
Have a problem.
you know, it's kind of the same thing. You get out there and solicit for business. You say, "Hey, look, I've got some product, and I'd like you to take a listen to it, see what you think,"
Yep.
and then kind of go from there.
So what we could do is they could just send an email to either Robert or myself and just say, we can start to get to know each other just a little bit on the first email. I mean, I'm very open. Robert's really busy, but I'm willing to take, personalized emails and read them and engage with the person and ask questions and then sort of see what they have and see whether it's a good fit for us.
Yeah, I know one of the things you said was you wanted to see how we could, members of the DSA could collaborate with your music publishing company in some form or fashion.
There's a number of ways we could do it. I mean, one thing is, of course, to take and listen to songs that are already written by members of your group. The other is to actually work together on co-writes, which is kind of, that's something that we have a interesting and a large team all around the world, much like you do. And some of our writers are much more fluid than others, but we have a good group of people who can write country, who can write pop. So if you want to do co-writes, that's another area that we could explore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I guess in this day and age, you could do it via Zoom or Skype or other methods to where you.
So we always do, yeah.
Electronically instead of in person, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we have people, strong songwriters in Sydney and in Wellington, New Zealand, in Baltimore, in Los Angeles, in New York, and it's always on. It's very rare when we're actually in the same room at the same time, given where everybody lives.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do it just like this. We actually often use the Google Meets, which is very simple, just like Zoom.
Mm-hmm. So members of the DSA could I guess be introduced to you through an email they would send to you and describe what they're doing and
send a few songs as samples, and we can see where they're at in terms of their level, and then who they could be matched with. And maybe some of the songs, if we hear them, they would be already very, very strong. We can't know till we hear them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I have your email address. Would it be okay for me to let certain people know that you might be willing to, look at their product and see if it's something you're trying to do? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that we do is we're also pitching not just for sync, but also directly to the artists in Nashville. We have actually on the sync front, in addition to Robert's own direct pitching to the music supervisors that he knows, like for the people at Yellowstone and all of those others, we also work with a few other companies who, you could send, your group could send something to, let's say, transition music or crucial music directly, and then you wait a while and they kind of get back to you and let you know. But we have some relationships with the companies where they trust us to kind of preview those songs, so we can put together a playlist and deliver the entire playlist. And then they take them, in other words, because they've determined that they can trust our judgment, and it kind of it speeds up the process of getting songs to those other companies that can place them. So we have those relationships as well. That's on the sync side.
All right. So what sort of contractual relationship do you establish with a songwriter? For example, through Broadjam, some publisher, I guess I have to mention their name, but anyway, they were interested in one of my songs, but part of the agreement was they would have exclusive rights for 5 years, just so I couldn't submit it to anybody else, and they would have exclusive rights for a period of time. If they did anything or not, I mean, if they didn't do anything with it, I'd be bound, locked up for 5 years. So what kind of contractual relations do you establish in relation to what I just discussed? What is that the same thing you do, or how do you do that?
It's similar. Here's just a little insider information on how the reason that some folks do the exclusive contract for that length of time. The exclusive contract for that length of time to control publishing, to control those rights, is because sometimes it takes that long for, if it's for a sync job, a film, to get made. It takes that long for somebody to get paid. It takes that long for the, whatever to happen. And so it may take 2 years before a song even gets selected. And then by that time, it may take another 2 years or another year and a half by the time the film gets done and gets released. And so these folks, they have these longer term contracts just because of the speed of the music industry. And yes, there are several different types of contracts. There are exclusive contracts, which I'll say most, and it's not all, but most agents like you to have, because they like to deal with one person. When I say agents, I'm talking about music supervisors or even agencies that are pitching the music. They like to have total control, simply because that's what they want, to deal with one person that has that branding control and can solicit that song. So that's what you run into on the sync side. And so there are 3-year contracts, there are 5-year contracts. I probably would never get into a 5-year contract, but quite honestly, it just depends on who that agency was and if they really had a success track record for being able to, really put in songs. And you also have the personal balance of saying, well, what else am I doing with this song?
But they would, I would assume by their contractual requirements, they would take the song and then they would start pitching it to music supervisors, for movies or TV. I guess my question is there a way for a songwriter to know when a song would be actually pitched, at a specific time, instead of, well, we might do it sometime in the future?
Yeah,
I mean,
it depends on the company. Again, it's a personal thing with the company. Our company is still small. And so if we're going to pitch a song to somebody, if we get an opportunity, we let the songwriters know, hey, we pitched it to such and such. It doesn't, and a pitch doesn't mean anything, right? Nothing means anything until you sign the contract that says, hey, it's in. They want it on the cue sheet, right? And so that's that process. But if we're pitching and somebody accepts it, then we let them know, hey, we pitched these songs, because that's exciting news. They want to know that that's going on. But again, and then the next time we talk to them, we'll let them know the status. If we haven't heard anything, most of the time it's just like contacting a Nashville publisher or A&R person. If they say, yeah, send your stuff, and you send it over, if they want it, they're going to let you know. If they don't want it, they're never
Don't usually hear too much. Yeah.
Well, I guess what I mean is it possible for a songwriter to get an agreement with a publisher on a song by song basis that you're specifically going to pitch to, for, you don't have to reveal who it's to, but say, you want a 90-day period, exclusive period in order to pitch and find out, or maybe a 120 days or some, instead of 5 years. I mean, that's just,
What I've been
Crazy.
doing lately is from that end of the business. What I've drawn up, we do have a contract. It's basically an intent contract, which basically says, hey, I'll pitch your song, right? I'll pitch your song, but you and all of your songwriters who are part of this song will guarantee me the rights to that song if I get it a hold or a cut, which is fair, right?
Yeah.
But I'm obviously going to take, I'm going to take the publishing portion of that for that song.
Mhm.
So that becomes a non-exclusive until you get something.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's kind of what I'm asking
Yeah.
if that's a possibility.
Those deals are out there. They're not always out there. But a lot of times the non-exclusive deals, sometimes they're just not enough impetus for those folks to pitch those. But then again, if you're, trying to build up a catalog, or if it's a really, really good song, like if I hear a good song, I want to be able to pitch it, right? And so just because we're go-getters, that's the kind of people we are. We hear a good song, hey, I want to pitch that for you. And so if they agree to that non-exclusive and they agree to the terms after, then it's a win-win for everybody, because then they can still pitch it to other folks. And as long as they're not pitching it to the same people I'm pitching it to, we're totally fine.
Right.
The sync industry, I gotta tell you, the sync industry is just a little bit different, because those folks like to have one person in control and one point of contact on a song. And usually it's a person they have a relationship with, which is either a publisher or a sync agent.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned radio ready songs. How important is it for a songwriter to make a demo, perhaps with a band or with tracks, instead of just a guitar vocal, in order to either get a publishing deal or for you guys to push a song? And who pays for it? And who pays for it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Demo ready, demo quality songs will get heard first, unless you have a direct line to said artist or that artist's A&R team, where you have a personal relationship with most of those people. What you're competing against, what we've found, and the folks that we're competing against, and you can hear it, you can go to Demolition Music. If you go to their publishing site, they actually have samples. They've got songs that they're pitching, and listen to the quality of those recordings and just compare your recordings to those. And that's just the tip of the iceberg at the stuff that you're competing against when these A&R folks on the pitch side, because I try to say there's the sync side, which if you're going to do sync, that song has got to be radio ready out of the box. It's got to sound just like what you would hear come out of the radio.
Yeah.
There's no question. You're going to have to spend the money. You're going to have to get the band behind it. It's going to have to be well produced, and it's got to be ready to go. Okay. On the pitch side, again,
to the artists.
In today's world, what we're finding, what we're running up against is those also have to be very, very well produced. It doesn't mean that it's a bad song. What it means is that, like, if you send me a song that's just a guitar and vocal, and I'll say good song, bad song, my recommendation is you get it produced, right? If I say you should get it produced, then that means I think it's got a chance at certain artists, right? If it's not quite there, I would say, work on it a bit and save your money. Don't get it produced. But I'm just that straightforward kind of person. And that doesn't mean that I'm always right. It means if I were going to be the publisher on that song, just listening to it, right, I would say, and I would have to fit what my focus is and what kind of artist that I'm looking to pitch to, right? So that's just that's the way we do it.
Yeah, and I want to chime in just a little bit. It's pretty much what Fletcher's saying, but the people that write whose songs we're pitching, that Fletcher has written or I have written or our group, these are people that these are songwriters we've gotten to know very well. So for example, let's say we all get to know each other very well. You start working with us. Every time we write a song, we always send it to Fletcher because he's a producer. And we send it to him so he can tell us, is this worthy of carrying on with? Should we carry on with this song? I mean, he gives us some insights as to maybe whether lyrically or musically, it needs something else. So we get a feedback, and then from there we work on it more. And then he tells us, yes, this is really going to be a great pitch song. So then we either he produces it, or we send it to one of our other producers, and then they produce it. So we have relationships also with other producers to make economical demos for the pitching to artists, which are very good. They're for the sake of pitching to an artist in order for them to hear the song in its very best presentation possible. But it's not, thousands and thousands of dollars as a finished final, master tape. So we've been able to take it step by step, write the song, send the work tape, get feedback on the work tape, improve the work tape, get the okay to send it to for production, find the right production arrangement, and then we pitch it through our avenues, because we have a number of avenues that have direct contacts with the A&R people or the record label or the artists themselves. And then we will give feedback to the artists, to the songwriters, if we do get good feedback and saying, we like that song, but it wasn't quite what we're looking for. We're looking a little bit more for this. We've been able to get some feedback too. So sometimes when we send a song for pitch, we don't hear anything, but other times we do. We get some encouragement, or we get a hold, or we get a cut. So it's a little bit of everything.
It's ultimately the process of deciding. Now, I know your second part of your question was who pays for it.
Yeah.
We are a small independent publisher, and we don't have the budgets that a Universal or a Sony or some of these other big publishers would have, where they have staff writers. When their staff writers write, that publishing company pays for the songs to get produced, not cut, but to get produced for their staff writers. We don't have that kind of budget. So that's why Ann and we try to do our very, very best to find the best productions that we can, get for our writers.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of good producers that don't, they're not going to charge you at the arm and a leg, but it's not going to be, okay. So what are we getting a demo done for about $500 these days?
Maximum. Yeah. Maximum. That's even $350.
Maximum.
And if you got, and what we do is we share, for example, like if there's two songwriters, we split it 50-50, or if there's 33 and a third, and we each put it, it's $100 each. And we have a really beautiful product at the end of that. And they get pitched, and they're right up there. There are some times when the people we're talking to say we need something even more spectacular for that particular artist. Maybe Fletcher, you can give them an example of where it had to go to even a sort of a more specialized production, but that's very infrequent.
Yeah, it's usually most of the time you got to gauge the artist. Like we pitched Carrie Underwood just before the holidays, and we knew that pitch was going to have to be something awesome, because Carrie Underwood gets thousands of pitches and every one of them is awesome, right? So you got to put something in, in that competes. And so spend a little extra time in the studio developing the song, making sure that every piece and part was right, and sending it out, and getting the right vocal on it. And so that's what you have to do. But remember this, and not everybody writes songs for the same reasons, right? Like I write songs because I pitch for commercial, mainstream Nashville country. That's what I do. I also write songs for myself because I like rock and roll songs, right? But I'm not going to be pitching those songs, right? Some of you folks might write in Americana style. Some of you folks might write in folk or bluegrass. I write and I pitch to the market that has the most availability for me to get a song sold, basically. Because, the bluegrass markets are very, very hard to get some folks to pick up your song, right? And it's the same with a bunch of other markets. Your pop markets are a little harder to get your song into, because most pop artists want to put their name on that song, right? Or they've got 15 writers on one song. It's just crazy what they want to do with those songs. So I write and Ann writes. We write in this vein where we've got the most possibility to get a pitched song cut. And that's the kind of vein that I'd like to stick in.
We try to be practical. I mean, we have our what we call our artistic songs, but then we have our songs that in the group, the group of songwriters that we work with, they're also geared towards that. They write songs that they love, but they also write songs that they think, well, for example, we get to know who's looking for what. So in a way, it's kind of like a brief. We know which artists are in the studio, what they're looking for, what the time frame is. How, when are they looking for that song? What type of song is it? Is it an upbeat one? Is it a boogie song or whatever? They give us information. And then we look at those and we gear songs towards that. So we kind of, we make a song with that in mind. So it's a little bit different than just writing because you have an inspiration and you feel like writing. We do that too, but for the business, we just finished a song and it's going to be pitched to Jackson Mickelson. He was looking for a really specific song, and he told us, he wants it has to be about family and a little bit of faith. So 4 of us got together and we wrote this song, and we did a first draft, sent it to Fletcher. He said, not good enough. We worked on it a second time and we improved it. We sent the work tape. He said, excellent, get it produced. So we sent it to our producer in Nashville. $350 later, we have our demo. He did 3 mixes on it, and it's fantastic. And that pitch is going to go out, and we cross our fingers. This is exactly geared to what he's looking for. So we're really hoping that would be, and so that's the way we approach it with our team. And these are songwriters who like to work like that. They want to have a song that gets to an artist, that gets a cut. And, some of them are driven, they'd love to make the money, and others just like, I want to have that guy sing my song,
Right.
So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, we all want to have, mailbox money is a good thing, right? And of course, you don't get the checks in the mail like you used to, but they direct deposit it. But it's a good thing. It's kind of fun to see that, BMI or ASCAP or whatever pro you belong to, it's kind of fun to see that check come across and get thrown into your bank. And I don't care if it's $30, it's still, you're like, hey, look at that. That's kind of cool. And so that's we're in.
Yeah, and like, for example, I looked at the sheet today that Dan sent us, Fletcher, and it said Tim McGraw, what he's looking for. So we know that. So now we know what and I've got a team already. They're all excited about this. They're starting to work on it already. I mean, we just finished the song this morning, and they're like, "Ooh, let's do that one tomorrow." So we have, we have the artists. We know what they're looking for. We have the connection. We have staff members who are working with us who know these people that have been in the business for 40 years. We're managing it, but we have other people that are involved with what we're doing that have the connections, that live in Nashville, that are part of our team. And so if you're interested in writing commercial music, that's sort of the focus that we have, the Nashville market, because it's where the profitability is. It's where the opportunities are.
Yeah, and that's to Ann's point. Even with songwriting, I was for a long time, I was that lone wolf songwriter, kind of just out there on my own, trying to do it by myself. And then I opened up to, co-writes, and, I don't like to get into, Ann likes to write with big groups. I like, no group bigger than 3, for me. I like
2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, I'm not that.
Because then it gets done,
It's done, but it also opens up a lot of creativity amongst 2 minds, and then 3 minds. For me, that's enough. For some people, they like more. But again, it kind of sparks energy. And as you can tell, Ann's got plenty. So when you write with her, there's going to be a lot of energy in the room. And that's the reason why she and I've written some great songs. She's got all kinds of great ideas and energy. And I feed off of that energy, and it kind of makes for good music.
Fletcher's an outstanding musician and lyricist. I mean, he's got everything going for him, but I don't have all those skills like to the level that he does, but I have a lot of ideas for the hooks and for the storylines. So we get together different people, and we put, like, some people are really great at the lyrics, and the group, the four of us work together, that now we feel we have a really good team. This little four that wrote that song that I just told you about. One of them is really he's the strongest musician. He's an awesome guitarist, and he's just really great with the melody. One of them is like totally lyricist focused. And me and the other girl are like, we're a little bit of both. So I like to get these four together, because when we're finished, it happens. And
Yeah.
I feel like I know, especially I know, because Fletcher writes with other people too, but I know like our main team, and I know who would fit with who.
Yeah.
I'm good at matching people.
So I think the good
And
part about that
I
is,
think it's fun.
yeah, for everybody that's, interested in doing these kind of things, I always say, get a good team around you, right? Get folks that you enjoy, and do it that way. I got to think we should open up if any got any more questions for us. I know we're moving right along here.
So the other side of the field, in my particular case, I'm also an aspiring artist. And so I have songs that have been professionally produced, recorded, a couple got on the radio, we perform concerts, but you know what? I would love for some other famous guy to record them, or I would love for a song to show up in an Apple commercial.
Yeah.
But they've already been, they're already out there on Spotify. They're already registered with Copyright Office with my name. So with a song that's already that developed, does that make it harder or easier for you guys to pitch them?
It depends.
I'm going to assume that. Let's assume the song doesn't suck. Let's say it's
no. Like I do my own little artist thing. I put out a couple of songs on Spotify, and I had like 10,000 plays last year on one of the songs, which is nothing in the Spotify world. I still pitch that song.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a certain limit. I mean, John Prine is kind of the classic for that. John Prine used to write all these songs, and he'd put an album out and he'd put them on an album. And then, randomly George Strait would want to cut one of his songs. It was just like, you can do both. I personally, I'm not a famous artist or anything like that, so I don't care about pitching my songs that I've put out, because I know there's probably a very small handful of people, considering there's, like 8 billion people on the planet or something like that, or 3 billion. But
yeah,
I think it's a very small chance that anybody's really heard it. And so it's not going to hurt, right, to pitch those songs. But again, the song has to meet several, criteria. It doesn't match that artist's brand. Is it in that same vein? Does the demo represent something that the artist can be into? You can have a fantastic song that just may not fit that artist. My classic example is, George Jones. George Jones started out demoing songs. He started out as a demo singer, and they said, George, you can't demo any more songs. And he's like, why not? And he said, because your voice is too signature and nobody else can sing it like you sing it. So you're destined to be an artist, right? That's what they told him. And so he was screwed as a songwriter. He couldn't be a studio guy to go in and do vocals, because he had his style that was only going to be his style, right? So it just really, again, it depends on the song. Stephen, if I were you, I would just put them out there and do what you want, man. And the world is, never say never, right?
Yeah, and
it's a good song.
And let us hear them, because we Fletcher, as I said, Fletcher writes songs and he puts them out, but he'd be happy if Tim McGraw sang it, and
right.
So I think unless you're really, really, really well known, and maybe you are in your market there, I don't know, but I think you're most likely, those songs, if they're good, they can be pitched. They can be pitched to much bigger artists.
Yeah, trust me, no one's heard of me. Yeah.
Okay, well then no. If you got great songs and they're already really beautifully produced, they might be perfect for pitching. I mean, you're already steps ahead. I had done a lot of songs just for the fun of it, for my own joy. Before I met Fletcher, I just wanted to hear them, what they sounded like beyond the piano that I was playing. And I sent them to the guy in Nashville, and he did lots and lots of demos for me. And, they weren't for artists, but a lot of them were using for sync, because, they were well produced and they're like nichey. and they could go maybe it'll take 7 years for one of them to find its like appropriate place, because it's not necessarily a, you know, modern commercial sounding song, but there's something to it that might fit with that particular scene. So they're not, I try not to waste too many of them, and to use them as we can, but they have to be good. They have to be good. So if they're good songs, we can pitch them.
How do you make yourself as searchable as possible in terms of sync?
You talking about our company in general, or?
Oh no, how me? I let's say I write tons of sync type of music, and I have this, you know, collection. How do I make it available? You know, because what I'm doing now is I'm sending these to a publisher, and they're sending them, putting them in front of people one at a time, but I'm frustrated by that, because basically I have this whole set of things that, you know, you want happy, you want sad, you want acoustic, you want jazz, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
how does one be searchable?
You know, running this kind of thing is just like anything else. It's about finding ways to get noticed, whether you're a songwriter or whether you're a musician or a composer or any of those things. SoundCloud is a great invention. It doesn't cost much to get your songs and catalog them on SoundCloud. You can also do Spotify. I know that a lot of on the sync side, like movie, television kind of things, I know a lot of the agents and the music supervisors like to find their favorite little niche of sound of Spotify, you know, stuff. It's, if I had cracked that total code, you know, if we all could crack that code, I think we'd all be very, very rich people. I think it's just a matter of do whatever you can to get your music in front of people. Right. I think SoundCloud is a great start for independent.
And it's free. It's free.
Oh,
Doesn't cost anything.
I'm on SoundCloud, of course.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't cost anything. And then, so getting exposure to those, another thing to do is network. And when I say network is, if you want to get into the sync world, there are tons and tons of summits where, you know, and there's all those different things, and there are individuals there that you can network with, and you will get feedback directly from going to those things. They're worth the investment. Even the NSAI the 10 Pan South that they do, those types of things, and now a lot of them I'm sure are virtual, where folks, so I would just look for that. Use your Google search engine, search for different events like that, that would help you find people that are in the industry that you could at least get some feedback from. First of all, getting feedback to making sure that you're putting out the right product that you need to put out. And then B, if they dig it, you're in, right? If they dig what you're doing, they like your sound, guess what? You've made the right contact. But again, you got to get out there and you got to hustle a bit. Like, you know, I've been working 16-hour days for the last, 20 years. So it's, that's just the way it is.
A couple of extra points. I mean, I think in our world, the Ammar Music Company, everything that we've come, all the steps that we have until we are at this point has been through personal face-to-face encounters. Like I met Fletcher at the NSAI. I met a lot of our songwriters when I went to a songwriting retreat with Judy Stakey, and those people were really talented, and we connected and became friends. And then they started writing with us. And then we go to Nashville and we meet up with other people. So I think the networking is important. And now this is a network. We're on Zoom, and now I see all your faces, and we're making a network here. So this is another way of doing it. But I think that it is important. If you're in your own little home all by yourself, it is harder than if you go out and you mingle. Yeah. And things just happen that way. That's what I found, that our company has morphed because of the mingling. Mingle, and the next place we meet more people, and there's more opportunities, and the next level happens. And yes. The other thing I wanted to mention is one of our songwriters whom I met, this just like the little trail, I went to the Catskill Mountains to a retreat with 15 other songwriters run by the Judy Stakey, who was a big wig at one of the big companies, Sony or whatever. And we got to know each other. And then, he came to my house and we wrote some songs together, and he went back to New Zealand. And then he sent us like all of his stuff. And we sent it to the contact that we have at one of the sync agencies that we work with. And they said they loved the sound of this particular writer. So that was a way. Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, because somebody's talking. I'm looking at Joe. But so the thing is that this particular songwriter, his style was very liked by that company. They really said, "Hey, send us all of his stuff." Yeah. So Joe, if you have a whole catalog of stuff and it has a certain vibe to it, and let's say we hear it and we say, that's cool. We can show it to who we're working with. And, it may be that they say the same thing to you that they said to our guy, Anthony, wow, that stuff, I love his sound. Send me more of that. So that's another way of doing it.
That's good. We've got to finish up here pretty soon, but does anybody have any really specific questions they want to ask of Ann or Robert?
I do.
I think somebody.
I do. Hi, Sarah.
Okay.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for doing this for us. This is really cool. So I just want to clarify, and you're not saying that, like, if we write a song and we think it's pretty good, because not all of them are. Trust me.
No, right.
We think it's pretty good. Are you saying that I can email you that song and you'll say, you know what, that sucks, or you know what, work on it some more, or you know what, go get that produced? Are you saying that?
Yeah. If you want us to be in the situation to say, after you've done that, we will be happy to work with you as your publisher and pitch it for you. Yeah, sure. That's the whole idea.
Can you give us your email addresses?
Yep, it's very simple. Both Robert and I, it's just our first name at ammarmusic.com. Ann at ammarmusic.com and Robert at ammarmusic.com. But that's a good place to start. I mean, Sarah, we will be honest with you. I mean, I'm not the expert. Fletcher, really, he's the final say on everything, because he screens my music too. Everything I write.
Speaking of Fletcher, Fletcher is the same as Robert, right?
Robert.
Okay.
Sorry. So
Ann has been used to calling me that since we met.
I know. I just, because that's how he introduced himself to me, and that's how I know him. But
it's a nickname.
Pardon me. I think a fair question is, you say it's the first name at ammarmusic.com. Was it Fletcher, or which is it?
No, it's Robert.
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 Okay.
As the executive, he's Robert, but as my friend and as if you go to watch him on stage, he's Fletcher. And if you go to if you go to
all about this.
If you go to Spotify and you check his music out, all of his online stuff, he's Fletcher.
Fletcher Moody. How do you say that?
That's right.
Moody.
M-O-D-Y, yeah.
Okay.
And so just to follow up then on the demos that Robert was talking about, like, I'm an accomplished piano player, right? I am not an accomplished guitar player, but a lot of my upbeat songs I write on the guitar. So I'm enough to, blend into the band I was in. I was rhythm on, but I am not fancy. Some of these guys on here are absolutely blow your socks off good.
I'm with you. I got that. Yeah.
Okay. So
just send a work tape. A work tape. It doesn't have to be what you're sending to have us look at the lyrics. First, we'll look at the story, look at the lyrics, and we can get a sense for the melody. I mean, the work tape is enough, whether you play it on the piano or on the guitar, for us to know whether it's got potential.
Okay. That's what I wanted to, because I can hire someone to play the guitar while I sing it and record it or whatever on my home software, but I don't want to do that. Because
no, well, why don't we just start with what you have, and we can then see what you mean, and then we can let you know. I think that would be the better way to go about doing it before you work. I mean, I just spent too much money on a lot of demos initially that turned out those songs weren't worth it. I shouldn't have bothered.
Yeah.
Right. And I
Well,
have a great producer out in Acuff, Texas, who would love to do all my songs, but I don't necessarily want to do all of that. Okay, and then the last question I have is, how do we get involved with groups like you're talking about, like your buds that you know, you have the four, you know, one's a great musician, one's a great lyricist, one's a great melody, one's a, you know, and you're kind of all of it. Like, how do we, is that something that I can be involved in? Like, do you hire people like that, or are y'all just good friends and you're creative together?
We're creative together. We're not paying each other. We're just doing it. Like, for example, Sarah, if you want to join us on our next songwrite and step in, send us what you have so we can hear what you do. And then I'm happy to say, hey, I got a couple people. We can get together and write something.
I would love to do that. You got it in.
That's it. That's how we're doing it. We're very family, like it's friendly. It's family. We're a small group. I mean, well, we got more and more people, but
Organic.
We're organic. Yeah.
Very organic. Yes, I love that. And that, you know, I mean, Robert, I hear what you're saying, like, to write this way for this and that way for that. And I get that too, but I'm really craving some collab and like some to do it together. Like, there's a lot of spirit in that, I'm craving it.
So fine.
That's great. That's why we're doing this tonight, because here are some people that we can collaborate with.
And so our goal is so
things.
simple. It's like we started out before it became a company. Actually, before I met Robert, I had already established a little group of people that I was just having fun with, writing songs with, and I didn't have any business plans at that time. It was just, we were just doing it, and we were having fun. And I was sending the demos, I was sending the work tapes to Nashville for the producer to make them so I could hear them and put them on Spotify or put them on SoundCloud. But really just for me, I'm not even an artist. I wasn't singing them. I hired a session singer, but I just wanted to hear my works finished. What would they sound like if they were done? Yeah. And then from there, we just sort of, it organically developed and we became friends. And so now if I want to write a pop song, or if I want to write a country song, or kind of a rhythm and blues, or I know the different people and what their skills are. And we have certain ideas of which artist is looking for what. And then I think, oh, who would be good at that? So let's get Sue and Jerome and Sam together, or let's get Sarah and Ann and Fletcher together. I mean, that's how it starts. We just start it and see what happens.
Yeah. It's like camp when you're a kid.
Yeah, it's like camp. Yeah. I mean, I know Robert is like, he's the serious guy and he has the final word. And when we get stuff to him, I mean, he makes real strong decisions, and he has to do it. Yeah. He has to do it. But I'm like the networker. You just come to me and I'll be delighted to be your friend and help you go forward, and we'll see what comes of it.
I got to be honest with you. This is why Ann does her thing, because
this is my world.
It's her world. Unfortunately, my world is the everybody, get focused. Here's what the next pitch is. I sometimes I have to be bad cop a lot of times, and it's not because I want to be. It's because I want everybody that I meet who aspires to be a songwriter to be a better songwriter. And if you've got somebody, everybody that's close to you is probably going to tell you, hey, this sounds great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't
exactly.
get better.
Your family loves them all.
They do.
Of course.
And they're not going to make you a better songwriter. This group right here, when you bring your stuff in, and guess what? You're going to become a better songwriter, because I'm a pretty tough character when it comes to
I grew so much under his direction in terms of songwriting. I mean, we do the business together, and we this morning we had our business powwow with our contacts and all the pitches that we heard, which are going to be sent to who, and we know the lists and we have it all pulled together on the business side. But when we write the song, he'll say, yes, those lyrics are really lame, or he'll say, there's no hook, so we get, and then we get it, and we get to go back and do it again. If, sometimes he says, they're not even worth doing again, start over. But then sometimes he says, well, do what you want. And we're driven to try to show him that we can do it. Yeah. So that's how we got this song this morning that he said, I can't wait to pitch that one. Let's get that one out tomorrow. So
they wrote, and
it is so exciting.
Never her praises, because they wrote a fantastic song. And the best thing about a good song is that, and I'll go back to the John Prine, there's no better feeling when you're walking into the office of the A&R label with a hit song in your back pocket, because you know you got it, right? And that's a great feeling to have. And you know a hit song when you hear it. And the thing is, I listened to the verse and the chorus this morning, and I was like, that's it. It's ready to go.
Yeah, crossing fingers. Because this is the song this guy wants. He wants this kind of song. So it's like custom. We did a custom song. It's like, oh, I so hope he likes it. But the fact that it passed Robert and Dan, our other expert, wow, we were just like over the moon. And at first, he said, no, the first version wasn't good. He said, it's not good enough. It's not, I'm not going to do anything with that. So we went back and we just worked a little bit more on it, and we turned it around. So we're really turned on by that, because now we know we're going to do more like that one.
Well, good. Ann and Robert, y'all have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and we love that. And y'all have something that we might be able to collaborate on in some form or fashion, some of our members, and you can you've got their email address. And the only thing I want to throw out, we talk about, and I love that that you would say something like, listen, that's a good song, you need to produce it. If you get to that point. So I want to throw out a little advert for Joe Milton at Joe Music, is that you need to call those guys, Joe Milton, and get it produced, because that's what he does. And if you're
our hope is that if our interest in this, of course, is, yes, we could all just write music together and help each other out, and it would be the cooperative that I started 3 years ago. But on the business side of things too, obviously, if you get a great song, and we give you the feedback, and you actually go forward with it, you produce it, obviously, then we'd be like, hey, do you want us to pitch it? And that's when we hope to have the business relationship with you as well, so that we can try to get that great song to the right person, so that everybody profits in it.
So we got 9 songs. We're gonna have 9 songs to critique tonight. We need to get.
I know. So we're gonna start on our song critiques. And we thank you so much, Ann and Robert, for your contribution tonight. I think everybody on this Zoom call has got a lot of great information, and hopefully some of us will be able to talk with you all in the future. And
maybe maybe they'd like to join us for the song critiques. Maybe they would like to do the song critiques.
Yeah, if you want to join us on the
I'd like to listen. I wouldn't mind listening.
And if you have a comment that